Hello dear friends, my name is Jitendra Bafna. I am a senior MuleSoft architect. In this video, we are going to see how to perform a CRUD operation using MySQL database and the MuleSoft. So basically, we will see how we can create a data in MySQL database, how we can update, how we can delete, how we can upsert a data into MySQL database using MuleSoft Database Connector. So I have already one table which is known as a company table. So if I select this, I have a few records in this particular table. So these are like 1 2 4 5 records are available in my table. So the first thing we will see how we can connect a MySQL database. So currently this is MySQL workbench which can be utilized to fire the queries, or create the database, insert the data. But how we can utilize a MuleSoft to perform a various operation with MySQL database. So basically, let me remove all this thing. So basically, I have created one small application which is MySQL demo application, and like MuleSoft provide a database connector which is capable of connecting any JDBC database like MySQL, MS SQL, Oracle, SQLite database. It also connect DB2, AS400 database. So any JDBC database it can easily connect. The first operation we will perform is a select operation. So I will drag and drop a select operation. Then I will start configuring this select operation. First I will show you listener. So this particular listener is running on port 8081, and it will fetch all the companies. So my URL is /companies. In advance, my allowed method is get for this particular URL. So I can go to select in database connector. Then I can do a connector configuration by clicking on this add sign. So if you see, you can give a database name, you can provide connections. So there are various connections: Derby, generic, MySQL connection, Microsoft SQL connect. Either you can use generic connection to connect MySQL database, or either you can use directly MySQL connection. So in generic connection, you have to provide JDBC URL. Let me show you. You have to provide JDBC URL, you have to provide a driver, you have to provide driver class name, username, password. So I will avoid using this generic connection because MySQL connection is already there. I can use that. The second step, I have to configure this MySQL library. In my case, it's already available. So let me do one thing. Let me cancel this because I want to show you how we can configure it. So how can be, okay, let me save everything. Okay, so I can go to this application, I can go to this select operation. Okay, I can click on this plus sign. Then as I can connect MySQL database, and I can click on this configure, and I can say add recommended libraries. I will say okay. So it will automatically add a recommended library. Then I have to provide the host name. In my case, the host name is localhost. Then I have to provide a port number, that is 3306, default port for MySQL database. Root username is root, and my password is admin. And you have to provide a database name. So in my case, the database is MuleDB. So I can say MuleDB. Just simply click on test connection. So if you have configured everything properly, your test connection will be successful. Okay, so I have configured everything properly. So my test connection is successful. The next step, I want to use a SQL query. So I can copy this particular SQL query. SQL start, I can remove this. I can copy this. I don't want to give a database name. If you give, it's fine. But I have already given my database name in connection configuration. I can say select star from company. That's it. Now next thing, we get the result in the form of Java. So I want to convert that output into form of JSON message. I can say transform message. then I can say application slash JSON, and I can say payload. So this is how it will convert a message into JSON format. I can save my application. Then this is my URL, http localhost 8081 slash companies. So let me wait if application is getting deployed. I can go to console. Yeah, it is getting deployed. Okay, the application is deployed. Let me send the request. So I got all the results back, all the 5 results back. Now I want to fetch a single result at a time. So basically on the basis of ID. So what I can do, I can add more flow. I can say listener. Okay, I will start configuring this HTTP listener. So first I will go to advanced and I will say allowed method is get. Then in general I will configure the path. So connect, we will use the same port number and everything. I can say companies. Then I will define a URI parameter. Always you define the URI parameter within the curly bracket. Okay. Next thing, I will use the same select operation, database select operation. I will use the same connector settings, but the query will be this time select star from company, and the field name is ID. I have to use the where ID is equals to, I can put colon ID, fx ID is equals to, I want to read the ID from URI parameter. I can say attributes dot URI dot the ID. So this ID we have defined in the path on HTTP listener. So these are the settings you need to do it. You can ignore this error. What is expected? Nothing. Sorry, I don't have to put this colon. The next thing, I can drag and drop a transform message. And I will convert this into JSON. Let me save the application. Okay, the application, I think it's deploying. So basically let me fetch first all the record. I can say send. Still the URL is not up. I got all the record. Now I want to fetch a record on the basis of ID. I can say companies ID1. So I got one record. So I want the record with ID5. There is a no record with ID5, so I can say record with ID4. Okay. The next operation we will perform the insert operation. So I will use the new listener for that. I will start configuring the new listener. The path, it will be companies. The main thing, I want to change this to post general. It's a companies HTTP conf. Here we are good. Now I will search for insert operation, database insert operation. We will see bulk insert and everything in upcoming video. I can select the connector configuration. This is my database config. Here I can say insert into company. So what we have to insert, I have a two field, ID comma name, then values, I have to pass a values. So I can say ID comma name. Okay, so now I can use this fx. Under this I can put a curly bracket. So how we can read ID, I will get ID in payload dot ID name. So I will get name in payload. Okay, so these are the configuration you need to do. So basically I am reading ID and the name from the payload. Then final operation, as usual, you have to perform a transform message. You can go drag and drop transform message and just convert that message into JSON. You can save this. So once I will save it, it will deploy the application. So till that, let me prepare a message. So I have like ID and the name. So I will use some other ID. So I have already three there. I don't have a 5 ID, right? And I can say Jimmy, whatever name. So waiting for my application to deployed. Application is deployed. Let me send the request. So you got affected row 1. It means one row has been added. So let me test. Last time we get ID 5 as an empty array. This time we should get a result. So I can say you have added this Jimmy and ID 5. You can get it. You can even check all the records. Okay, you can see that. Let me check in database also. So you can see the record has been added in database also. The next operation we will going to see update. So for that, so patch, or basically we can call it in the terms of REST API patch operation. I will use listener again. Okay, I will start configuring my listener. So in path, as usual, I can say companies. In advance, I can say patch. Okay. So next thing, I will use update operation. I can maximize this connector configuration. Sorry, I can add this connector configuration. The query will be update company. What you want to update? Name. Set name is equals to name, where id is equals to id. So now I want to define the input parameter for them. So I can say okay. So again I will read it from payload. I can say id payload dot id, then name payload dot name. Okay. So these are the configuration we need to do for update operation. The next thing, as usual, we will again use a transformation. Definitely you can define this in the central, some centralized code, so in sub different flow, every time you don't have to use this transformations, you can achieve the reusability. But for now it's demo purpose, so for that it's fine. Let me save the application. So basically I will try. I don't want like this name as a Jimmy for id 5. I want to name I want like to add the some other name, so I can go to patch operation. In patch I can say 5. Instead of Jimmy I can say, I can give some other name, like let me think, I can say Jill. Okay, whatever name, so let me see if my application got deployed. Yes, application is deployed. Let me send the request. So you can see one row is affected, means one row is updated. So previously if you see 5 is Jimmy, okay, now it should change it to Jill, on the backend. You can say it has been updated to Jill. The next thing, let me show you here also in get query. So you can see it's Jill, right? Let me fetch a single record also with id 5. It will give a Jill. So our update operation is working as expected. Now I want to delete a records. So I can use the delete operation. Again I will drag and drop HTTP listener. Companies advanced delete. You can use a delete operation here. Okay, you can select the delete operation. Then you can say database config. I can say delete from company where id is equals to id. I can select fx, then I can say, so this time I will send a id in my URI parameters. So I can say id attributes dot URI params dot id. So this is the configuration you need to do. The one thing we have missed it, so I will tell you. Before that, I can put a transform message. So I can say JSON payload. Then in listener I want to add one URI parameter. I can say id. Okay, so I have done with my all the configuration. Can see, I can save the application, so it will deploy. Let's wait while application is deploying. Okay, my application is successfully deployed, and then I can go to delete operation, and I can say I want to delete the record with id 5. So you can see it has been deleted. So let me do the get request. If I can see record with id 5, you should get the empty array. Yeah, we got the empty array. Let me try it once again. Okay, there's a no record with id 5, it's deleted. We can verify it in the backend also. Query execute. So there is a no record with id 5 which has been deleted. The next thing, we will perform a upset operation. By default there is a no operation available to perform the upset, but we can definitely do that. So right now, so what I will do, I will drag and drop a http listener into my mule palette, sorry, in my mule flow. Here I can say companies, then I can go to advanced, I can say put. So generally put will, if record present it will update, if record not present it will add. So now first we have to check if record is present or not. For that I will use the select query. Before that I will set a variable. I will set my payload in some variable. So I can say v input payload and payload. Why still error? Okay, it's gone. So the next thing, okay, so you can select id from company where id is equals to, where id is equals to id. So how can you read this id? So basically you can see id. So basically we have variable vars dot we input dot id. Okay, so we have saved our payload in this variable. Okay, if we haven't saved it we can read like payload dot id, but we have saved it. So because I am saying select id from company, now what I can do, I can use a choice router. I will check if it's returning id or not. If id is not null, it means the record is already present. Let me check why it's error. Yeah, I put this again, it's a mistake. Okay, so choice router, I can check fx. If here it will return, so basically select will return a payload. So I can say payload dot id is not equal to null, then you perform update. You can drag and drop here. I can select that configuration. You can use update company set name is equals to name where id is equals to id. So fx. See, generally why I've set this variable, because after this select the payload we change, so I want to save the payload. If you don't want to if you don't want this whatever output came into select, if you want to store in some variable, I think you can make use of this target. Let me check if it's available here. So target variable and all those things, no, but that's fine. So I will just keep simple for now. So in some next upcoming video I can explain that, how we can do that. So now I want to read id. So basically id is saved in my variable, so I want to read from payload, so that is variable.id, then name. Okay, so I have performed my update operation. Let me copy this, it will be useful. So now if it's everything is fine, insert. So if record not present, so if id is not null, then it will update. If id is null, then it will go to default and it will perform a insert operation. So I can use the same database connection string, then I can say insert into company. What you have to insert? id comma name, and the values is id comma name. Okay, I will copy the same input parameter, so which I have done for update, so it's same input parameter. Okay, so these are the configuration we need to do. Then I will use the transform message at the end outside the choice router, so whatever result comes can be converted into a JSON. You can save the application. So basically right now I have record with id 4. I want this name as a Jitendra instead of Jit. So let me check how we can do it. Let's first application to deployed, and let me use the put operation. So it's a 4 and I want Jitendra. It was Jit, right? Waiting for application to get deployed. It's deployed. Let's send the request. Let's say if records get inserted or updated. So first thing I will go and backend, so it should not add new record because the record is already update exist. So now my name has been updated, it haven't added a new record. Even like you can go to this postman and you can say get company, so you will see this record has been updated. Okay, so now what I will do, I will add one record. So I don't have like any record with id 5. Okay, so I can give any name, Ram, whatever. So I can send the request. This time it should add the record. Let me execute this query in the backend. So you will see record has been added. Okay, and you can perform the get operation also. So you will get that response back. You can see the record has been added. Even if you want to do, so this is how you can perform upsert operation. Okay, so I hope you like the video. Thanks for watching. If you like the video, please click on like and subscribe button. So in next video we're going to see a bulk operation using MySQL database.